Alina and Rudy had been married for 3 years. But this wasn't Alina's first walk down the aisle. Her initial marriage had ended in divorce. Nick, her ex-husband, was constantly on the road for work, and she couldn't tag along. Though she longed to be by his side, Nick was laser-focused on his career and refused to make any adjustments. Eventually, the emotional distance grew too wide, and they parted ways. After the split, Alina relocated to a new city, and that's where Rudy came into her life. One day, Alina needed to head back to her hometown to lend her parents a hand with some things around the house. She arranged time off work but didn't even consider asking Rudy to join her. She knew how unpredictable her mother could be. One careless comment, and the whole visit could turn sour. They both agreed she'd go solo, and it would be a short trip, no more than 4 days. While she was away, Alina made sure to call Rudy every evening, just for a quick chat and to stay connected. Then, on the 4th evening, Rudy asked her what time he should swing by the train station to pick her up. She told me, almost apologetically, that she hadn't had enough time in town to catch up with everyone. So, she decided to extend her stay through the end of the week. What she really wanted was to see all her sisters and spend some quality time with her many nieces and nephews. Rudy didn't raise an eyebrow. With so many relatives and her rare trips back home, it made perfect sense. Of course, he had been hoping they'd at least share the weekend together. But he understood family came first, and moments like this were few and far between. When the week wrapped up, Rudy was at the station waiting for her. She stepped off the train and greeted him, but something felt off. There was a distance in her eyes, like her thoughts were elsewhere. He tried to draw her out, gently asking how the trip went, how her family was doing, if there was any news. But her replies were short, flat, almost like she was going through the motions. It didn't take long for Rudy to notice something had changed. She seemed glued to her phone now, constantly tapping away. Before, she'd leave it lying around without a second thought. But now it never left her side. It was either tucked in her bag or clutched in her hand. That shift made Rudy uneasy. One night, while Alina was in the bathroom, he heard her phone buzz from deep inside her purse. The screen lit up with a message, and curiosity got the better of him. Who could be texting her this late? He reached over and picked it up. When Alina walked back into the room, Rudy didn't keep up the pretense that everything was fine. He showed her the message that had popped up on her phone screen. "I miss our weekends. Come back soon," and it was signed by none other than Nick. The words seemed to hang in the air, especially given the timing, right after her extended visit to her hometown. Alina froze for a moment, the color draining from her face. Rudy's expression was unreadable, but the tension between them was palpable. He didn't ask in a casual way. It was more of an ultimatum. He demanded an explanation. "Now, tell me the truth," Rudy insisted, his voice cold. With a deep sigh, she admitted the truth reluctantly, but truthfully. Nick had come back to town recently, after leaving his old job. He no longer had the constant travel demands that had driven them apart years ago. By sheer chance, they'd bumped into each other, and it hadn't taken long for their old memories to resurface. Conversations turned into more, reigniting feelings that she thought had long since faded. Rudy's face hardened. His voice, when it came, was firm and direct. "You cheated on me, didn't you?" And then, as if that wasn't enough, he hit her with another blow. "Why did you go back to him?" Alina dropped her gaze, her eyes filling with shame. The weight of her actions pressed heavily on her chest, and she knew there was no escaping the guilt she felt. "Do you realize this means we're getting a divorce?" Rudy's voice was unwavering, but it held a quiet devastation that cut deep. He was shattered. The woman he had poured his heart into, the one he believed in, had tossed aside their life together for the sake of old, faded feelings. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was the disregard for everything they had built. After her admission, nothing could ever be the same again. The foundation of their relationship had crumbled, leaving nothing but the wreckage of what once was. Rather than throwing her out immediately, Rudy made it clear that this would be her last night under their roof. In the morning, pack your things, he instructed coldly. Leave the keys and leave. You'll be out of my life for good. He tried to sleep on the couch, but the weight of what he just learned kept him wide awake. The quiet of the night only made the reality of what was coming in the morning feel that much more suffocating. They say you can never step into the same river twice. But Alina decided to test that theory. She went back to her hometown and picked up where she left off with her ex-husband, Nick. From that moment on, Rudy heard nothing from her, and he had no idea how she was faring. All he knew was that her mother was overjoyed to have her daughter back under her roof. 8 months later, out of nowhere, Alina reached out to Rudy. She asked about his life, casually reminiscing about their trips and the good times they'd shared. But Rudy wasn't interested in probing whether Alina regretted her choices or if things weren't working out with Nick. He'd moved on after all. They were divorced now. He didn't need to know the details. He simply ignored her, leaving everything in the past. If not for an unexpected moment when he stumbled across a message from Nick on her phone, Rudy would have never learned anything about Alina's life post-divorce. Who knows how long he would have remained in the dark. It seemed like Alina was one of those people who could never settle on a clear path. She was always caught between different worlds present, yet never truly anchored anywhere. As a result, she couldn't find happiness for herself, let alone bring it to anyone else.